All right, I'm doing another video review, but this is not actually a hate video, and none of them are hate videos. I just want to point this stuff out, what's going on right now. But this one is actually an Asian woman called, I don't know, Dianna, I think. Cool Mom Dianna. I don't usually rewatch videos. I've watched this four times. So I'm going to just start it from the beginning. It's almost 40 minutes long. I'm not doing 40 minutes. We'll just get the basic synopsis of what's going on. I'll link the video below and you can have at it. Obviously, from the title, you can understand what the video is. I'm not going to watch a ton of this. Maybe I'll scrub through it a little bit, and then we'll call this video a day.
I want you to think of a dirty four-letter word. You got it? Rice. There is no word that sparks more fear than rice. I ate nothing but white rice for 7 days straight, and I documented every meal, every emotion, every poop, just so you can go along with the journey with me. Now, before I actually get into the video, please remember to subscribe and press the little bell. I promise you this video is life-changing. If you like it, please share it. Send it to a friend. This will change their lives. It will change your life. So when I brought up this idea to friends around me, the reaction is always, why? You know, the shock on people's faces? I could have told them I'm eating sand for the next 7 days and they wouldn't be as shocked. This is something that people are scared of. The Asians are scared of, and yet it goes.
I get what her reaction is. You do get that reaction. I'm going to have to pause it fairly often because I don't know if this music in the background is going to get me a copyright strike. Not that it matters. I don't have a huge channel. But going forward, I don't really want to get any of those copyright things.
It was fundamentally against what we were brought up with, which is we eat rice, we're Asian, we eat rice. I've always had that huge question mark in my head. The association that rice makes you fat was never that strong when I was growing up. I gained my freshman 15 eating like a typical freshman, basically consuming the all-American diet. And then I started investigating, what's the right way to eat. Every variation of diet out there, Atkins, paleo, keto, they all follow the same principle. It's a high protein, low carb diet. I tried high protein and it worked like that. But I also experienced a lot of discomfort. I started smelling bad, I became constipated, and I felt hungry all the time. I couldn't sleep at night, my skin started breaking out. Apart from being skinny, there was literally nothing going for me. Which is when I knew this kind of eating.
Okay, 100% agree with 100% agree with this. I started smelling like ammonia to the point where I think I mentioned in another video, people asked me if I was cleaning my house with like vinegar or something like that. Is that what's in anyway, I started smelling like vinegar. I think that's what's in, I don't know, whatever. And I started smelling like vinegar and they're like, are you cleaning your house with vinegar all the time? And it was terrible. It was terrible. I mean, always smell it. And then the night vomits came, and I had to peace out with that. Yeah, I lost weight in the beginning, but honestly, if you stay on it for an extended period of time, because I was a weightlifter, if you stay on it for an extended period of time, it doesn't work the same after a certain period of time without eating less and less and eating and drinking more and more coffee, which I hate. So I was doing the stimulants like the ECA stack, and then ECA, one person dies, here we go with the, America freaking out about one person dies from ephedra because they decide not to drink for like drink water for 3 days. They take ephedra and they die, and people are like, oh, ephedra is bad. It's been in China for 5,000 years, but it comes to America and somehow it's terrible for you. So that happened. So the ECA stack is ephedra, caffeine, and aspirin. Aspirin thins out your blood, so the ephedra and the caffeine kick in even faster. But I tell you what, you've heard of crashing off of coffee. Whew, the crash off ECA. Better watch out, boy. It is bad.
I don't think is sustainable long term for me. So then I lived in the US for 12 years, and then I moved to Beijing, China, the land of rice. And long behold, the Chinese don't even eat rice anymore. Everybody thinks that Americans have figured out something that they haven't. They see the supermodels of today and they think it must be because they eat a Western diet. No, supermodels are the way they are because they're genetically unique. When my husband and I were in China, we would have these huge feasts, right? Hot pots, 20 meat dishes. Everybody would eat everything except white rice. When we ask them about it, the answer is always like, duh, white rice makes you fat. Oh man, the answer to me was actually really heartbreaking. But just ask yourself this question. Who are the skinniest people in the world? Asians. What did Asians used to eat? Rice. A lot of rice. Currently still the skinniest people in the world, Japanese people, consume tons and tons of rice. And if you ever searched why that is the case, they'll always give like very uncompelling reasons like they walk a lot, they eat cold rice. And is it possible that rice doesn't make you fat? Sometimes the most obvious explanation is the explanation. So that is
This is what I've mentioned in here. I don't talk about the Chinese all that much because if I'm perfectly honest, the Chinese culture doesn't really interest me all that much at all. But the Japanese weirdness, I am a very weird person. I don't think that comes across in my videos as much as I would like. I'm trying to get that a little more out there. Of course, I don't want to weird everybody out. But the weird stuff that the Chinese or the Japanese do feels at home to me. At one point in time, I am going to live in Japan. Now, I know they don't like when you're over 40 in Japan. I don't know if that's changed because they already have an aging population issue as it is. So my Asian and Thailand and Japan are like the two Asian countries that I really follow the most, largely because of the fruit in Thailand is like otherworldly, and the Japanese culture, I feel I don't look Japanese at all, but I feel like I'm like somehow related to the I don't know, it's a weird thing. Like what I see that they do is the weird stuff, it just makes sense to me. So anyway, that's what I follow and that's who I see, and they're always skinny. Other than, you know, if you look in like Tokyo and all of the other big cities, you know, you see a lot of fat people because the Western diet, I don't know why they think it's great. We're all fat over here.
my hypothesis. My people have been eating rice for millenniums. We are fucking skinny. I don't believe rice makes me fat. So I set out to test this for myself. I eat nothing but white rice. I eat until I'm completely full. I don't limit how much I eat. I can choose condiments to eat it with. Stuff like Japanese plum, kelp, salt, soy sauce, furikake, which is rice seasoning. These are nutrient negligible substances that's really just for enhancing flavor. I also choose one cheat drink per day, which in my case is Desi Siu Dai. It's a Singaporean drink that's basically milk tea with slightly less sugar. And I ate it for 7 days straight. And my experience has completely transformed my relationship.
This milk tea is very popular in Asia. If you really want to get some, Asian markets almost always have it. But I believe because it's called milk, it's got milk in it. I don't know. Maybe you can get a soy milk version. I'm not really advocating for it. And that furikake, you can find it at Asian stores as well. It does have some fat in it, so if you get overwhelmed, sprinkle it on like crazy, you really could add a lot of fat. And Walter Kepner did suggest staying away from a lot of salt, and there's also a lot of salt in it. Now, it also has kelp in there. Kelp is ridiculously high in iodine, to the point where they actually warn you not to take too much kelp because it can actually have the opposite effect. Like if you have enough iodine, your thyroid works great. But if you got too much, it can actually destroy your thyroid. And kelp is almost on that line of being able to destroy your thyroid. So you've really got to watch with that stuff, but you can find it pretty easily. If you go to any real Asian market, which this is the only one I go to, like there's the Americanized Asian markets, and then there's the actual Asian markets where like almost nothing is in English. They don't care if you can't speak their language, they're not speaking English. So that's the ones I tend to go to because that's where you can get the really good stuff. And it used to be really cheap. I know some of the prices have gone up.
Relationship with food. I am 100% certain that rice does not make you fat. All right, this is my first weigh-in of the day. Wow, look at how beautiful. Oh my God, it smells so good. I'm gonna start my first bowl right here. first meal of our challenge, a bowl of white rice and a Japanese plum.
I don't know about you, but that looks so good to me. It looks really good to me. So this is why I highly suggest getting a rice cooker. I think I'm trying to get an affiliate with Zojirushi because that's the one that I've always used. My last one lasted for 25 years. I can't say enough good about that company. They cook perfectly. They got a bunch of settings. I think it's got like 10-ish settings that you can use. I mean, it's like any rice that you can find, they got a setting for. I mean, it doesn't have like a black rice setting on there, but black rice is a different beast altogether.
It's just there for flavor. So good. Rice is so good. This is literally what my tongue was trained to appreciate. When was the last time you ate plain white rice? I'm gonna try it with my plum. So salty.
I get that feeling. I mean, anybody who likes, I don't know who doesn't like white rice. I know McDougal's just fooling himself as far as this brown rice goes. Maybe I'll scan it here where she talks about.
Rice has protein. 1 cup of rice actually satisfies 5% of your daily protein need, as recommended by the USDA. This is another experiment that completely blew my mind. I'm not the first to pioneer a rice diet. Actually, there is a book called The Rice Diet by Dr. Walter Kempner at Duke University, and he devised it as a way to treat malignant hypertension and kidney failure. This just means your blood pressure is so high you're about to die. And back in the day, there weren't any effective treatments for hypertension, so if you got that, you're basically dead. He prescribed these people on a rice and sugar diet. Think about that. How crazy is that? The reason he introduced the sugar was because there was too much protein in rice. So much so that he didn't think his patients who were suffering from kidney failure could properly process the protein. So he had to cut down, transfer some of the calories into pure sugar so they can digest it even better. My point is just that rice has protein. Okay, go look it up. It has protein. It doesn't have a lot of protein. How much protein do we actually need? I can make a very strong argument that it's a lot less than you think. In fact, one thing that I'm absolutely certain about is more protein is not better. This is where I would really advise that you guys look up the book called The China Study. Very comprehensive study led by Dr. Campbell. This was work done in the 80s looking at Chinese population statistics from the 70s that correlated chronic diseases and cancers with every single county in China. This was done at a time when China was a completely closed off country. People did not travel between villages or cities. If you were a city person, you lived and died as a city person. If you're a villager, you lived and died as a farmer. This was nature's perfect experiment of running 100 different lifestyles, on top of which you have a massive population of people who are pretty much genetically identical.
I don't know if you haven't read the China Study. It's very well worth the time. I suggest just getting an audiobook, so when you do your walks or whatever, you can just start listening to it. It's got a lot of good information. The newer version of it, which is what's on Audible, it's a little more long-winded than I would like it with some of the stuff in the beginning. But it definitely has.
If you compared it to America, where there's so many obviously different races, the Chinese are relatively extremely homogenous. This is like striking data gold. They were able to break disease down into 2 major categories: disease of the poor and disease of the rich. Poor people died of things like infections, diarrhea, preventable, curable diseases that usually can be taken care of with an antibiotic. Rich people who ate rich diets died of heart disease, cancer, diabetes. Basically every single top American disease these rich people also had. This book also highlighted this experiment done by a team of Indian researchers who fed mice different levels of protein. At 20% protein, all the mouse started getting cancer. When they lowered down the protein level to...
This is where I don't understand where these people are always coming from. You need your I mean, I get a ton of them. And I don't even have that big of a channel. I can only imagine. I haven't read her comments. I can only imagine how many, well, where's your protein? You know, you got to get your protein. Protein. Or the sugar parrot comes out and sugar's bad. I can only imagine how many are in this video because she's got like 500,000 views on it.
5% of daily intake. All the cancer went away. Protein is the building block of muscle, is the building block of a lot of our biochemical processes. When you have enough of it, the animal is healthy. When you have too much of it, protein goes to promote the growth of other bad things, stuff like cancer. Protein is not bad for you, fat is not bad for you, carb is not bad for you. It's just what is the right amount for human consumption. So what do I personally think is the right balance? Well, who am I? What sounds very compelling to me is the traditional Asian diet, which is mostly rice followed by unlimited vegetables. And we do eat meat, but in very small quantities. Condiment level is like 1 bite per meal. My mom went through her childhood in China. There was a major famine when she was growing up. They had 3 ounces of meat per person per month. They were hungry still because they also didn't have enough rice, but they were very skinny and relatively healthy. So I would say eat like a poor Chinese person, eat like a poor Japanese person.
There lies
All right, I'm going to
the-
stop it there. This video is very well worth the watch if you have the time. Maybe split it up a little bit. I wanted to get this out there before the rice diet challenge that we're going to be doing next week. I'm going to do it for at least 2 weeks, maybe more. Maybe just keep running with it because these issues that I got, they don't seem to be going away as fast as I would like. So, and the results that Walter Kempner got are you can't deny them. I mean, they built Duke University is basically what it is because of Walter Kempner. If it weren't for Walter Kempner, they'd just be another hole-in-the-wall university somewhere in the Carolinas. So I think that's all I've got to say about it. I mean, she said everything that you can possibly say. It's ridiculous, these protein people. I don't know why they can't see it. I don't know why they can't see it, because at some point, the health issues just start stacking up. I mean, stacking up. And they have to eat less and less and less, and they got to get on the stimulants, and they got to do this, and they got to do that. And it's just, I actually had something that I wanted to say in the middle of that, and I really wish I would have said it then. But here we are. We're going to do the rice challenge. If you want to add potatoes in, like I said in today's video, this will probably get posted today. Today's video about this is the only reason Kempner chose rice is because it was the most palatable of all the high carbohydrate. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So there is diseases that come from fat, too much fat. There are diseases that come from too much protein. There is no diseases that I can find that come from eating extra carbs. There's none. Your body burns it off as heat. It sends a signal to your brain. You'll actually see that in this video that you got to go do some exercise. It'll pee it out. It'll store it in the muscle glycogen, or the muscles as muscle glycogen. It'll store it in the liver. It'll just increase the heat of your body. So if you're one of these people that's always hot, that might be why. You might be eating more than you really need. And so the other 2 macronutrients do have a lot of diseases associated with them. High carbohydrates that are not mixed with fat have no diseases whatsoever. Everybody's going to come on here and say, well, diabetes. Diabetes does not happen if there's not a lot of fat involved with the carbohydrates, because it raises the insulin level, and because the fat covers the receptor cells and it can't absorb the carbohydrates. So then the body keeps sending insulin until that happens, and it raises your blood sugar level, and that's when you get diabetes. So that's my video. I hope you like it. I hope you watch this. I'll link it down below. She's interesting. I don't think any of our other videos talk about this stuff, so I didn't really watch any of the other ones, but this one's pretty good. Talk to you next time. Got any comments, questions, concerns, whatever down below? Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next video.